walls. Okay.
No, say what was that last bit?
They're forever drilling something into their wall. Like, how much space do they have on their walls? I don't understand. Every day no, they must have a lot of pictures up on their
walls. What kind of place is it that you live? Is it like apartments?
Yeah, it's like townhouse, I think is the word people would use. It's like 2 stories. You have the 2 stories, but we're like attached to other people.
Right. Yeah.
Then we're in a complex. So there's like 3 of us attached, and then there's a break, another 3 attached and a break, like that kind of vibe.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you in between 2, or do you have a?
Yeah, we're in between 2. One we never hear, and this one we only hear when they're drilling, which is every day.
Yeah.
And it's always when my children are napping. Perfect.
Yeah. Typical.
Thanks, Becca.
Typical.
Yeah.
All the joys. No, I'm quite lucky here. We have like an education center on one side, and then it's like a community sort of education-y place. Like they do little courses on like computer skills and health
for adults.
For like adult learning stuff. Yeah. And then there's the dentist on the other side, so it's sweet. We don't really have direct neighbors in the evening times. During the day it's fine, but we're working during the day, so it's grand.
That's fine. That's nice.
So Becky, Rebecca De Jager, how do you pronounce that?
De Jager. Well, De Jager. If you're Afrikaans, you pronounce it De Jager, but I don't say that. I say De Jager. Right.
Yeah. Do people kind of make fun of you for the way you pronounce it, or?
No, I just say it's my name now, so I can pronounce it how I want to.
Brilliant. For the people who are watching, where are you based? I know.
In Durban, in South Africa.
Lovely. And the weather's nice and bright and sunny there now, is it?
So sunny. I'm probably going to swim later. Are you jealous?
I'm a wee bit jealous. I could go swim later, like the sea is right beside me, but it would just
with a
be
wetsuit?
Really...
Yeah.
Really cold. A wetsuit would be an option for sure. Like it's nice to go for a swim every now and then, but it's summertime with yous.
It's summertime, and we have very long summers in Durban, so it'll be about June maybe that I'll turn off the fan during the day and night. It's literally hot until then.
Hot until June, and then
and then for like maybe a month I'll turn the fan off, and then I'll turn it back on. That's how hot it is. Wow. It's so nice.
Yeah,
it's the best part about Durban is the weather. It's so beautiful. It's very humid though. At the moment in March it's ridiculously humid, but I like it. It's nice.
So it's even like you're from Melbourne originally?
Yeah.
And it's hot.
Melbourne's cold.
Is it?
Yeah, right. Melbourne's cold. We have like a really hot summer, like always around the Australian Open. It's like 40-degree days and stuff like randomly, but it's a very short period of time that it's like summer. The rest of the time it's like pretty cold there. Right. Yeah, because we've like it's almost as far down south as you can get, like on the mainland, but then obviously Tasmania's at the bottom. But yeah, we're right down the bottom, so it's cold there. I don't miss the cold.
No.
Not a cold person.
Yeah, I quite enjoy it, kind of a wee bit. But so Australia, I've never been to Australia, and to be honest, I've never really wanted to go there that much.
How rude.
I was gonna say, I hope that doesn't offend you, but I don't know. I just always assumed it was really hot, like really.
Yeah, people hot. Do. But it's massive. It's such a huge country. Yeah. It depends where you are. You can go somewhere and it's bloody hot all the time, but you could also go somewhere else and it's cold all the time. You can go skiing in Australia. What? There's ski fields. Yeah, like proper ski fields where for like 3 months they have like a proper ski season.
Right.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, there I go. Maybe I will go there now if it wasn't so mad from what we're looking at in the news. That's
no.
During the past 2 years, I don't know if it's been broadcast on like mainstream media networks here about the reaction to COVID in Australia, but in some of the things that I've been seeing on YouTube, there's it seems to be very heavy. It seemed to have been very heavy-handed approach to the whole COVID crack.
Look, it was strict, but Australia is always strict with things. We always have been like that. They've always enforced laws, but I also think there was a lot of lies on the internet, because I know some of the videos that were circling were lies.
Yeah.
And people were saying this happened, but this actually happened. So yeah.
You get little clips and it's hard to know what happened before the clip. To get
exactly.
Proper context.
One of the circling, this guy was supposedly arrested for doing yoga. But what actually happened was he was breaching the lockdown laws. They were in a group. They didn't have a permit. They weren't allowed to do it. So it's like, there's always so much fake stuff that's circling. But Australia has always been so rule focused and they enforce rules. But I mean, I like that about Australia. It makes you safe there because you know that the police are doing their job at least.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It's different. It's different here for sure. But I remember seeing those border TV shows, or like the airport
Border
things.
Patrol.
Yeah, where they, somebody's got a sandwich with some poppy seeds or something on it, and they're getting a proper grilling off the authorities.
Even there's some states in Australia that if you cross from one state to the other, you have to get rid of your fruit. So like if you're driving interstate and you've got like a banana in the car, there's like a stop and there'll be big signs saying you have to get rid of your fruit now and you've got to dump it before you go to the next state.
Wow, it's mad.
I know.
But like,
I know it is mad. We went through to Melbourne Airport once and there were signs up saying that they're filming border control. We were like, ooh, we wanted to be on.
Oh yeah. Do you have that sandwich with all the poppy seeds? Yeah,
stop sweating.
Yeah, maybe that is also another reason that I never really had a strong urge to go to Australia, because I know they'd stop me for something on the way in.
It's really not as bad as people say, I think, personally. But I grew up there, so maybe it's different. But I mean, I'm in South Africa and speed limits are a guide. It's like, do 100 if you want, or do 140. There's a cop car, just speed past them. They won't stop you. So I think there's a happy medium somewhere, because I also don't agree with that. I think that's ridiculous.
I suppose.
You can literally speed past a policeman here in their car. You could go 140 past them. They would not do anything.
Right. I suppose they're.
So I think they need to stop some people. Come on now.
Yeah, there were bigger problems though. The last time when we were chatting before and we recorded the video and it didn't work out proper, you were saying actually it was after I had stopped the recording that you had told me about the other day. There was a kidnapping,
the abduction or whatever. Yeah, but I didn't call the police. Now everyone's going to know I saw this.
Oh right. But so did everybody else in the street from the sounds of things.
To be fair, the other 40 people watching also didn't call the police. Yeah, we were just walking, but in a rough area of town, because I had to go to this one government department, and we were going to get back to our car. And literally we were one car away from our car, and this big black car with, like doors on the sides that open, kind of like a SWAT vehicle kind of look like vibe, pulled up and blocked this red car off. And all these guys with guns got out and like charged the car, took the guy from the back seat, got in, and the 3 cars zipped off. That's Africa.
Yeah.
That's where I live.
Yeah. Wouldn't happen in Australia, would it? Eh?
No, it would not. And if it did, it would be on the news, that's for sure.
Yeah. So that's that wouldn't have been on the news at all, because nobody called the cops, and if somebody did call the cops, what would be the likely response?
Well, put it this way, if like you're at home and something happens, you don't call the police here. You call your private security company. So like there's lots of private security that like your area will be kind of associated with, and you can pay to be in them, and they have like a rapid response unit. So if like you were having a home invasion, you would phone them, you wouldn't phone the police would come the next day.
Right.
It's too late.
Yeah.
But these home security guys, they come like kitted out with weapons and things, and they'll come in and help you.
That is so bizarre. Hey, it's
so bizarre, because in Oz, like, I like the police, like, of course, like the police are annoying and there's dodgy ones, but I feel safe with the police. Like if I get pulled over in Oz, I'm not scared of them. You know, they're nice most of the time. But here, like the police, I don't trust them. So yeah, it's completely different here. Yeah. Great country.
Yeah.
Come visit.
Yeah, just bring a weapon or something. Self-defense. What do you call it? During the past 2 years with the lockdowns and that, were the police enforcing that?
It's weird. The first lockdown we had, they said, you know, it was we called it the hard lockdown, and it was where you literally couldn't leave the house except to go to the pharmacist or to go to a hospital or to go to the supermarket. It was like literally the only reasons. You couldn't exercise, you couldn't leave your house to exercise or anything. So everyone was trapped inside. And they said they're going to deploy the army to kind of make sure that it happens. And I swear, my husband and I were like, do you reckon there's going to be like an army man on every street, like monitoring everyone? I don't know what we thought was going to happen, but there was nobody.
No.
But there were checkpoints on like the freeways. So you had to have a permit if for some reason like your job was and something you had to go to, like a nurse or a police officer or something, you had to have a permit. So they were on the freeways actually stopping people. So there were checkpoints. But the problem was like in the more rural areas and like the high density areas, they weren't enforcing it. So, you know, you could see on the news they were walking around with no masks on and things like that, which is a bit frustrating because we were doing the right thing and staying home. But yeah, there's too many people to patrol here. There's 56 million and a budget of 0, basically, because the government just siphons all the money out.
That's whenever we were trying to message and organize this chat, you were saying that there were power cuts. That there are power cuts?
It's called load shedding. We call it load shedding, and it's funny because as a foreigner, I get so irritated by it, and I still get annoyed. And I tell the kids at school, because I'm a teacher, that, do you know, overseas they don't have that, and they're shocked because they just think it's normal that every now and then the government decides for a week we're going to cut the power because it's the energy company. Some breakdown happens or something happens, but it's just because all the money is not put where it's supposed to be put and all the machines are broken and things like that. So we're on stage 3 at the moment. So for 4 hours a day, we lose power. So I already lost it this morning for 2 hours and then tonight for 2 hours. But yesterday we're on stage 4. So for 6 hours in total, we had lost power. Right. And complete power. They don't even keep the traffic lights on. It's like everyone just gets used to it. You do a 4-way stop and you look for the other cars and you go, you know, it's crazy.
It's so weird. And because, like, I mean, I know South Africa is it's a developed country in a way. Like you've got
part of it.
Yeah, you've got all the infrastructure and that kind of crack, but that's unusual. And so the power goes out, and do you have to, like, would you have generators or anything, or is there?
No, we don't. They're so expensive, generators. So we don't have. You just go without. You just get used to it. Like big shopping centers will have generators for like main things like lights and stuff like that, so that some places can still function. Some supermarkets will still go, they've got generators. So it depends on the big business. But I mean, I don't know anyone personally that has a generator. Even like my school doesn't. So for 2 hours, you just lose power. You're just used to it. And you guys sit there, and it's hot here. So like there's no aircon, there's no fans. It's crazy.
Yeah. Here would have the opposite.
It's supposed to stop on Sunday.
Yeah. For good?
No. For now. It usually comes for like a week, and then it'll go away for however long, and then I'll come back for a week. The longest I remember it going for was for like 2 weeks, and it got really bad. And that was when my parents came to visit from Australia. So I was like, welcome to Africa, we have no power. For like 4 hours a day, 6 hours a day, we're losing power. So it's kind of annoying.
And that was happening throughout the past 2 years as well, like just
yes, through COVID it was happening. We were like, great, as if we're not dealing with enough. And then we also had these riots in South Africa for like a week or so, and it happened then. And I was like, seriously, read the room, guys.
Read the room. Keep the power up for yeah, we think we have it bad here, but we don't. There was talk coming into the winter there last year that there was a chance that there would be power cuts because Ireland has, as part of the EU or the G whatever number of countries summit thing where they had agreed to cut carbon emissions, and
G20
probably.
Isn't it?
I don't know. I've heard there's these meetings and there's like G8 and G26 and I don't know how many countries were involved in this one, but so Ireland has agreed to cut back on the carbon emissions and all, and we have a part of the centre of Ireland is what they call blanket bogs, where there's moss peat turf.
Yeah.
And there were peat powered power stations, and they were generating, I don't know what percentage of the power for the country, but they had decided that they were going to have to cut back on that. So they had closed some of these power stations, but then they had to import the power from elsewhere. So like gas from, say, Russia, or coal from Poland or something. I'm probably getting the details of this all wrong, but yeah. So they had shut down these power stations, and then they were talking, we had some sort of agreement for gas generating of power, and now it was. But the thing is, we didn't end up having any power outages throughout the whole winter, surprisingly enough.
Well, that's
yeah.
Lucky you.
yeah.
Bragging.
Well, look at us with our electricity nearly all the time. There was some storms there recently, and I think parts of the country had
oh wow, okay.
But apart from that, it was fine. But hospitals and everything too. Do they?
No, hospitals, they still have power. Yeah. But I think they would have generators.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Well, private ones maybe, I don't know.
Especially over the past 2 years as well, if the hospitals were to be overrun, and they would it.
Yeah. And here they definitely did get overrun. I know that for a fact, because I know people that got COVID that couldn't find a hospital to go into.
Yeah. The what was it you saying there about the riots that happened in the middle of the whole thing?
Yeah, it happened I think it was last year. But it was during COVID. They say it was like a group of people trying to, what's the word? Not overthrow, because it wasn't like a proper coup, but they were trying to maybe instill like people to not like the president and maybe to vote him out. I think his own party, because to be fair, I do like our president. His party, I don't like his party, but he's actually really tried to stamp out a lot of the corruption, which is like the first time for that party that anyone's trying to do anything about it. So I think because of that, because a lot of people were getting like caught out and were getting fired and things like that, I think there was like an internal thing to try and get rid of him by the former president's family members, which are like, there's a gazillion of them. So I think it started with, there was a group that eventually found out that started stuff, but then like built, because, people here, there's a lot of people that are quite poor. So they saw it as an opportunity to take. So the riots, it was more like a lot of looting. So they're completely destroying destroying stores, like everything destroyed.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And like petrol bombs going to stores. But I think those people were the organized people trying to just ruin stuff. But then there was a lot of people just going in and just taking things, just taking TVs and anything they could take, which was, the police ended up going around to all these houses after. And if you didn't have receipts for things, they took them. So, I mean, it didn't turn out well for all the people that looted. But for that time, we had not even a supermarket was open because no workers could get anywhere. Everything was closed off, and communities had like blocked off their area. So like the area I lived in, all the roads in and out were completely blocked off by our own community members. They put up barricades and wood and everything, just trying to block off. You had to prove that you lived in the area to get through. And then like there was patrol systems. So like everyone in the community would like sign up, and you'd go somewhere for like 2 hours with weapons and like protect your community. They were trying to protect our shops from not getting broken into. So in my area, they didn't get any, they couldn't get in. But there were lots of other areas where, it was horrific. We went to do a cleanup the next day of one area, and oh my goodness, it's like we were in a war. I cannot believe the stuff it was horrific. Yeah, I'm gonna send you some videos, but it was very full on.
That's mad.
Yeah.
So you and Loy would have had to go out and patrol, or what way did that work?
So I was 6 months pregnant at the time, and we already had a 2-year-old. So I stayed home with her, and he went out though. So he signed up in our local community watch thing, and his shift was like overnight, like 11 till 4, 11 till 3, I can't remember. And you go to your checkpoint area, and you stand there with a weapon if you had one, and just monitor. And there was this like walkie-talkie system, like an app called Zello. I don't know if you know it, but you'd sign up to your like local area, and it's like a walkie-talkie. And so people like, this car, this license plate, can someone patrol? And then the next patrol would pick them up. And it was crazy. It was so weird. It's not normal behavior here in South Africa. It was the most crazy experience ever. None of us expected it. But it was during COVID. Good times. Yeah,
well, a little bit of excitement.
We were actually already, we had already had a delayed school start. So we actually happened to be off that week anyway, because we're supposed to already be back at school, or the week after be back at school. But because of COVID, they're delayed again because we're in the middle of a wave. So, wild.
That is very wild. It must have been just whenever you're saying about the patrol thing, and that you like your husband Loy would have gone out in the middle of the night with other people, like it must have been quite a sense of community as well, because if you're there and you're there to protect.
It was actually really nice. Like my area, they did such a good job keeping anyone out. There's also like a massive shopping center near me, so there was reports that was heavily protected by private security because there's international vaults and everything there. So I think like in that area, they were massively like all private security, keeping anyone out. So it was pretty wild. But the other shopping centers, like not ones close to me, like a little bit further away, they got completely gutted. Like, it was horrible.
And would you know your neighbors and all anyways, or? In
my area, well, I used to live in a different house, but we lived in a complex. So it's actually, I think in COVID, it brought us together a lot more because we weren't allowed to go out and exercise. So we were all just walking around our complex. So we met all our neighbors doing that, which was really nice because some of them we hadn't met before. So, but during the riots, everyone kind of stayed in the house. No one was even walking around. Nearby us, there was an explosion at I don't know if it was at the chemical factory or next door, and then it exploded at the chemical factory. So for like a few days, we weren't supposed to go outside or even open the windows because the air was gross, the smell, and no one knew if it was poisonous or what it was, because apparently the chemical people were very like sus about what was there. So we basically stayed inside with a 2-year-old. So I just had Netflix on 24/7, must admit. And I was pregnant. I wasn't helping. Let's put another Barbie on. Nothing else to do.
Oh man, that is nuts. That is nuts.
I know. wild.
Yeah, we had nothing like that here. It was just
and what shocked me was how many people had weapons. My goodness. I didn't know so many people had weapons.
What kind of weapons?
Some of the weapons at these patrols, like, I think like full-on weapons.
Like rifles and...
Yeah, my husband has a rifle, but he's got like a license for a rifle for shooting, not lions and things, like everyone must relax, like deer and things like that. But I don't know if everyone had licenses for what was there, but my husband said some of the weapons were just, I can't believe that's in our community.
Yeah.
Hiding.
Yeah. Oh, does that make you feel more safe?
It's like a whole nother problem.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah.
That's
interesting. Yeah,
we didn't have any of that crack here. I don't know if I said to you whenever we had tried to make the video before, was that I live in a very small rural town.
Yes.
That's like 2,000 people in the area, so it's very quiet. And throughout the whole lockdown and that, it was just really quieter than normal. You would go up the street and it was just empty at 6, 7 in the evening, just nobody about. And we work, I've been farming oysters with my family since I've finished working on the boats. And there's a road near the farm, and just so quiet, just no cars moving about the place.
It was crazy here also during the hard lockdown, especially. It made me laugh because we have a lot of monkeys here in South Africa, if you can imagine it's Africa. But it shocked me when I first moved here that they'll come in your house and try and steal bananas and whatever's on your bench. Yeah, so you got to, like, if they're around, you just kind of shut up and stuff. And sometimes at school, like, there'll be an announcement, there's monkeys, can everyone get their lunch boxes and put them inside? And then the kids have to go get their lunch box. It's hilarious. But my local shopping centre, like, it's like a little plaza vibe thing. Well, there's no monkeys there. It's like quite, it's quite busy all the time. There's bars there and stuff. But during the hard lockdown, there were so many monkeys there by the supermarket. And I was like, it's like Jumanji. Like, they're taking back. Really? Oh, it's so funny. Yeah, because you never used to see them. But then there were so many when you were going to the supermarket because it was just so dead. There was no one there.
Yeah, there was memes going around at the time. I don't know if you've seen any of them where the earth is healing and all. Like,
yeah.
There was
like dolphins in
Venice.
In Venice, that's it. I mean, was that real?
I don't know, but it's one of those things. Yeah, it's like, was that real? Was that
cute.
Did we all collectively dream that, or?
It would be nice if that was a positive thing to come out, that the animals took back a little bit.
Yeah, well, it kind of makes sense too, because if there's no cars and stuff, like, I mean, like country roads, maybe, I don't know what it would be like in Africa, but if there's a road out in the country that there's not as much traffic on, grass starts growing on it.
That's true. It's nice. Oh well, one positive.
yeah, but like, I mean, it's obviously it's not sustainable, but you were off on maternity leave during the pandemic, so you didn't have to do any of the remote teaching, did you?
No, I was teaching. Yeah,
I
was teaching. I only went on maternity leave at the end of last year. So I was teaching through the pandemic. I'm on the school management team as well. So we were trying to coordinate, like, we're having meetings when it all happened, like, what are we going to do? What's the plan? Africa as well, it depends where you are, what school you go to, as to what kind of education you got during the pandemic. Only recently, there were some schools that only recently returned to full-time teaching because they were doing like a staggered thing to try and space out. There wasn't enough room. My school was really lucky. So during the hard lockdown, we did online teaching. We just used some online programs, And then when we went back to school, we were obviously told there has to be certain spacing and all that sort of stuff. And my school is big enough that we have like an art room, a music room, and like all those kind of extra spaces that we broke up all the classes in half. So there were half the amount of children, basically. No, it wasn't half. No, we took a whole bunch out so that they were spaced out between every child. There was a space with their desks. So we were lucky. We had a continuous education through the whole thing. But there's some schools here that they just lost the last 2 years, basically.
Yeah, it seems to be it's just really, really difficult, because I know, like, for a lot of kids it's hard enough to pay attention in school anyway, whereas because there was a little bit of the remote learning here. I don't have any kids, but my sister, she is 4 kids, and trying to deal with 4 kids at home the whole
100%.
time as well. But then
because
sorry,
that's the problem. Like, people were working from home themselves, then they had their kids that were supposed to learn online, and maybe they all only had one computer. How are you supposed to manage that? So it was tricky, and some kids did nothing. Some kids don't have access to anything. So, and some kids didn't want to, and fair enough. Like, their parents are like, I can't do it. Like, I can't get them to sit down and do the work. So what we did, we caught up everything. So the Department of Education here, when school started back, they basically made us repeat the term.
Right.
They changed they had a 3-year recovery strategy, and they changed for 3 years the curriculum so that we could catch up and then still fit everything back in.
Right. That's quite a good way of doing things. Here there's in what we would call secondary school, maybe you would call high school. Teenagers. And there's an exam halfway through that called the junior certificate, and then there's an exam at the end for getting your points for university or college entry, and it's called the Leaving Cert. So there was, because it was over the course of 2 years or whatever, there were kids that had missed out completely on all that, and they were doing predictive grades. So the teachers had to kind of decide what they thought that the student would get, and but then that's 2 years of learning, basically. Like, I mean, they might have learned a little bit within that time, but 2 years where it's just kind of gone. Like,
we felt it most, like, in our school with the grade 1s, because that's where they were learning to read. So those kids missed out on so much. If they didn't know how to read already, then during the lockdown they weren't reading. And teaching reading is not as easy as people might think. Like, it's quite challenging to teach reading. So there was a whole bunch of kids that were like so advanced reading with their parents and doing all this sort of stuff. And there were a whole bunch of kids that didn't know how to read and weren't doing anything during that time. So we found that when we started that next year, the grade 2s, there was a massive issue with their levels. We actually ended up starting this year like a special class, like a bridging class, kind of, to put some kids in that was much smaller with the teacher to try and bridge those gaps.
That's good. So it'll be interesting to see in the years coming what happens with those kids, because like even teenagers are like 18, 19-year-olds going to university, college, whatever, for the first time, and then there's no bars or nightclubs or anything open, and they can't go out and socialize with one another, and like
my brother-in-law had his 21st during the hard lockdown. I felt sorry for him. It's like supposed to be such a big celebration, and he was alone. He also lived alone at the time, so he was like literally alone.
Jeez. That's where, like, I'm quite close with my family here. My parents live not too far away, so I was able to see them throughout. Although at the beginning of everything, it was like, don't don't meet up with your parents or whatever because it's
yeah,
dangerous. You could give them COVID and all. And
yeah, yeah.
because I work with my family as well, like my dad and my siblings work on the oyster farm and all that.
Oh,
So
cool.
it was very difficult to not see them.
Yeah,
But yeah, I was chatting with a friend of mine who was living in Madrid throughout the whole thing, and he had a rough time because he was on his own in an apartment in the city,
yeah.
and
Oh, that's hard. They
yeah,
eventually Oz brought in this thing like, if you're not married but you got like a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they had a pass to come basically, because some people were alone during that whole time. That was sad. I mean, for us during the hard lockdown, we actually really enjoyed it. It was just my husband and my first daughter, and it was a lovely bonding experience. But I mean, we're privileged. We're in a happy family and all that sort of stuff. If you were in a situation where you didn't get along with your family or there was issues at home, it would have been a really tough time.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Meanwhile, I haven't seen my family since before COVID. In Oz.
Yeah,
it sucks.
For sure. Well, that's what's great about the technology, at least, is that you can have conversations with people, and I know it's not the exact same. You're not in the room with the other person, but it does help a good bit. Would you be talking with your family at home regularly enough on like Zoom or something, or?
We would FaceTime all the time, with my folks, which is nice. But yeah, it's not the same, but it's at least a small comfort. But it's been a long time now.
And you're trying to get over there a visit sometime soon?
Yeah. So we wanted to go, obviously during the pandemic, Australia shut the borders, so that was done. Then they opened the borders just for like Australian citizens and things to return home. But I've obviously got 2 kids, and I mean, I think at the time I was pregnant still, so that wasn't feasible for me to go. And then once we've had our second child, now they need visas to go there. Now the borders are open, so the waits on visas, we're just waiting now for a visa for them. So it's weird because before this, I would never think of borders closing, but now it's a real thing in my head that what if I go without them and the borders close and I'm stuck away from my children for who knows how long. So it's like I won't travel without them now. So I've got to wait for their visas to arrive.
And is it a really difficult thing for them to get visas even though you're Australian?
Not difficult. So they are eligible to be Australian citizens, but it's just also a process to apply for that. We have to wait for Indy, our second child's birth certificate, to be able to do all that. So we're going to action that, but immediately we want to go there on a holiday. So we've just applied for tourist visas for all 3 of them. But I mean, you still have to provide a lot of paperwork and things like that. And it's like $140 per person, including the 5-month-old. So it's a bit of an ordeal.
That's it as well with the currency differences between South Africa and Australia. That's
hurts my soul. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Oh, what? You're gonna need
fingers crossed. We're hoping to go in June, July. So fingers crossed
for a couple of months.
Maybe for a month, because I've got 3 weeks off work, and then I've just went and asked my boss the other day if I could take an extra week, and he said that's fine. So we'll go for hopefully a month.
To do it for less time.
It's a long flight with children to only go for a week. Rather go for the longest we can go.
You have to make all that suffering worth it. Have you been chatting with many of the people that we used to work with throughout the pandemic?
Not really. I chatted to people from my second boat. I was still friends with a couple of those people. Everyone from our boat, which I was really close with, not so much. They kind of live a bit far from me, the ones that do live in South Africa, like you have to fly there, like it's that far. But yeah, so I don't really catch up with them, but yeah, I see what they're doing online, which is nice.
Yeah, it is.
Did you see Usmanov's boat was seized?
That's right.
Oh yeah, I sent it to you. I just remembered. Yeah.
That's mad for people that are working on all of these boats as well.
Apparently, I read something as well. They're not getting paid, but all his assets have probably been seized, because I would imagine most of his money is overseas. But I did read something about that. But yeah, because I remember he came on our boat. It was our boat, wasn't it? That we were. Yeah. And that guy's not short of money, that's for sure.
No, well, he might be now.
You might be now. I'll have to give him back that necklace he bought us.
Oh dear. Yeah. It's really interesting to see all these things on the news now. And that's one of the largest yachts in the world, isn't it? It's
I think so.
Volume that. And there must be 80 or 100 crew on there even.
Yeah, I would say so, because our boat had like 20, and it was much bigger. Hectic.
Yeah. But that's you're saying about that they might not even be getting paid now. But a lot of those,
I saw someone post something about it, so I don't know. I didn't read into it, to be honest. But I wonder. But there's a lot of Russian boats.
There is a lot of Russian boats. It'll be a changed scenery thing now during the summer.
And even there's a lot of Russians chartering boats. So like a lot of people's charter seasons are probably, what are we in now? Coming up to Europe, maybe they're not chartering for Europe.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how long all this crack goes on for between Russia and Ukraine.
Shame. Yeah. Puts everything in perspective when your life is feeling a little bit yucky. You just see what's happening over there.
Yeah. It is mad. It's we just kind of getting over the whole COVID crack. There was a couple of weeks of quiet, calm.
Yeah.
Maybe, and then boom, Russia.
I think now, because of that, I think everyone's done with COVID now. No one's interested in following COVID rules here. We're supposed to still be wearing masks outside. No one even has them around their neck or like around their wrist. They're nowhere in sight now. You have to have them to get into places, like into a building, but no one seems to care about them anymore.
It's interesting though how our attentions are focused on things too.
100%.
That's my background. I studied media in university. I don't know if you know that at all, but so whenever I see things on the news and that, I'm like, what is going on? Because the thing is, it's a huge deal, I suppose, what's happening there. People are saying that it's like this could start off World War III. Because there's the Russians and then the US and that. But the thing is, there's wars happening all over at different times as well.
Yeah.
And the US, like in particular, like with Afghanistan and all, like in Iraq, and then you have Saudi Arabia and Yemen too.
I mean, I'm Lebanese. My background's Lebanese. So as a Middle Easterner, we don't get much airtime over there of stuff happening in the Middle East.
No. It's weird and it's the same in South Africa at the minute. Like, do you watch the news or?
Yeah, we watch CNN, so we don't watch the local news. Yeah.
Right. That's interesting. It's like American CNN, or is there like a South African version? Or?
No, the news here is. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
No, I don't watch any local stuff. Yeah. So we watch overseas news generally. Yeah.
And
sometimes BBC. Yeah.
They've shut down the Russian networks, or
we were getting Russia Today. Is it Russia Today? RT.
Yeah.
I don't know what it stands for.
Yeah.
We did get it. And at the start, my husband and I were watching because we're like, let's see what they say. But now all of a sudden it's not available here.
Yeah, it's the same here.
Yeah.
They've shut it down. But it's kind of, they say it's to stop the Russian propaganda, which, you know, maybe there probably would have been Russian propaganda on a Russian news network, but it would also be interesting to hear what their perspective
what they're
is
being
on things.
told. Yeah.
Because that, you know, there's they say there's two sides to every story, and then there's the truth. You know, and at the minute it seems like we're getting one side to the story, and what's obvious is that there's innocent people that are caught up in this whole shit show and that are being horrendously affected by it. But behind it all, it's like I don't trust them, like, you know.
I mean, I don't trust any parliament, any government. My background, I've got a degree in history and politics, so I do love all
I didn't know
stuff.
that.
Yeah, studied that before I did teaching. But I mean, I don't trust Russia, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And what they're being told, I can just imagine how censored it is and all that sort of stuff. Never been to Russia. I have friends that have been there. They didn't say the best things about it.
No.
They said it was very racist.
Yeah.
This was 10, 15 years ago. She went there. She said she cannot believe how racist it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's white, but I don't know what she saw. I can't even remember. But she said it's just shocking there.
Yeah. It's I was in Lithuania there a couple of years ago. A good friend of mine was getting married to a Lithuanian woman.
Okay.
And we went over for the wedding. It was brilliant, great time. But that's it. What was really interesting is there were nobody there with dark skin. Very, very, very few, and that would kind of, it would make sense, or it sounds like it would be accurate enough that there would be. Russia and Ukraine. I know very little about Ukraine, and it's just.
Me too. Yeah, I don't. Not like a strong point. Trying to learn now, but it's just sad. It's not fair for people, all the innocent people. Yeah. Did you hear about this Australian couple that have a surrogate there? Did you hear about that on the news?
No, I did not. So
there's an Australian couple who tried for like 7 years to have a baby, and they couldn't. You know, they tried every avenue, and they looked up surrogacy in Australia. And typical Australia, there's so many things you have to jump through to try and do it. So I think they ended up going with a surrogate in the Ukraine, and the baby was born premature at, I think, 28 weeks, so very small, right when everything happened. And so then there was this big thing online, a big GoFundMe, because they were trying to get into the Ukraine to their baby. You know, it's their baby, it was their egg and sperm, and they couldn't get into the Ukraine. And only yesterday they got there, which is nice. Finally reunited, being able to meet their baby. I think 2 weeks after they were born. Obviously the baby's in critical condition. But it was quite hectic. But you think about all those people. You know, I just had a baby. I think about my experience, and I can't imagine giving birth in this, like bombs, or like you're in an underground shelter. And I mean, looking at the images of what was now their maternal ward, it was shocking. It was just, it's just so sad for all those people. It's not fair.
For sure.
Yeah.
Who knows where it's all gonna go. There's a mass migration of refugees moving out of Ukraine now. There's going to all over Europe, and like there's 100,000, I think, for arriving to Ireland or have already arrived in Ireland.
Oh, okay.
And and it's mad. It's like, how are we gonna deal with it all as well? There's like in Ireland,
there's so many repercussions that come with it.
Sorry?
There's so much that goes on even after it finishes. You know, whether those people go back, whether they permanently stay in different countries, it's a whole nother kettle of problems too. All these things you have to deal with, and oh, I can't even imagine just fleeing a country. And they were just fleeing with just like one bag. Like,
yeah. Yeah, and it happens loads. And that's in the Mediterranean and all too. From whenever we were working on the boats there too, there was the crafts coming from Syria and what do you call the other countries there on the north of Africa?
like Sudan, Somalia, all those kind of places.
No, on the Mediterranean.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's Morocco and Syria and something beginning with an L. But anyways, there's
Lebanon. Lebanon's next to Syria.
Is it? Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny because I went to Lebanon right before I got pregnant with Lola. So it was like maybe 2019 I went there, which is funny because you have this image in your head of what Syria is like. And when I got there to Lebanon, they were like, oh, your auntie's away. She's just gone shopping in Syria. She went on like a bus tour shopping. I'm like, isn't it all bombed? Because like what you see on the news, like Syria is destroyed. But they're like, no, there's such good shopping in Syria. So they like go there and shop. So weird because we get this one thing on the news and that's what we think is going on. But there's a whole nother thing going on all the time.
Yeah, for sure. That's as I was saying maybe before, that's one of the reasons that I wanted to do these wee video things is to find out what is actually happening. And it'd be really interesting actually to chat to ones in Ukraine or Russia even to see what the story is there. A friend of mine that I was working with on another boat after Lady Catherine, he's from Donegal. He's like from an hour or so away from me, but he was in Russia there recently and he just flew out. He's away to join another boat over in Antigua, I think. And
nice.
And whenever he was leaving Russia, it was proper sketch. Like he was saying, it was the whole atmosphere was really tense. He said that like people were looking at him as if he was a spy or something, or maybe there was a little bit of paranoia there as well. But so
well, that's hectic.
It is. But yeah, who knows where it'll all end up. Sorry, you were saying about Lebanon there. You were in Lebanon in 2019.
Oh yeah,
before
it was 2019.
Before COVID happened, I suppose. Sorry, there was that massive explosion there.
Yes, but after I wasn't. It was after I was there that explosion happened. But that was quite hectic too. But again, that was the government mismanaging things. In Lebanon, it's a very similar situation to South Africa. So, I think stuff's gone bad there. I know my dad's lost a lot of money there and things. It's just, also their government's just so corrupt. We actually had someone from their government on my second boat.
Really? Right.
Yeah, and they almost didn't come on because they found out I was Lebanese. So then they wanted to know if I could understand Lebanese.
Right.
Arabic. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Jeez, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if I can tell stories of what happened.
Well,
wait, I'm sure I can.
Well, yeah.
This was on the news. I'll tell you something was on the news. Story of it. He's also just as corrupt as everyone. But it's got hectic.
I wonder about that too, like, because if I put this up on the internet, how much is it? But whenever you say,
it was on the news.
Oh, right.
It was on the news.
Yeah,
you could Google all this stuff. You can Google it. Nothing from when I was up.
Yeah, it's just like whenever we were working on that big charter, and there was the president of one of the stands, one of those countries that had come on, and it was mentioned to another guest, and there was a bit of trouble about that. But
what was mentioned? You're gonna have to message me after. I don't know what this is.
All right, it was just one of our crew had mentioned to another one of the guests that this president had been aboard, and
did they? Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he owned up to it right away, champion. Hey, some boy for one boy. But yeah, when you know, we had to sign up the non-disclosure agreements and all, and those are, I believe, still legally binding. No, it's not just temporary, and I don't know the ins and outs of all that kind of crack. Like, you're not allowed to speak to media about different things. But I think,
because I mean, the stories to tell about some of these people that have been on board. Big stories. Could write books.
Juicy stuff, real juicy stuff.
Juicy. It's the worst. You can't tell anyone. But all my stuff you could Google. It was on the news, so I know for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's
But yeah, I've been to Lebanon, but the place that blew up, I think it was wasn't it pesticides or something was stored there, and they weren't supposed to be stored, and no one had done anything about it for ages, and
was that anywhere near where you were in Lebanon?
No, I asked my dad. It was in Beirut. I've been to Beirut, right. But it was at more of a, I think, like a commercial harbour area, because I'd been to the harbour, but he said, no, not there. It's kind of where the other stuff is. And I was like, okay. Right, so I don't think I went to that exact spot.
Yeah. Well,
Lebanon is a beautiful country. If you're going to go somewhere, go to Lebanon.
Yeah, I would. They have power cuts and all there too, I think. I watched a wee video.
They do have power cuts, but they have generators. When I was there, like every now and then, the power got off for like a minute, and then beep, and then people's generators would just kick in.
Right.
But it's a beautiful country, and the food is magnificent.
Yeah, I do enjoy Lebanese food. Do you be cooking it there for Loy?
I sometimes cook it. I do know meals. My mum taught me. My mum's not even Lebanese, my dad is, but when my oldest brother was born, my grandma came from Lebanon for a month to help her, and she taught her how to make all these Lebanese meals, which is cool. Nice. So then my mum taught me. So I do know how to make a bunch, and every now and then I'll whip them out, but I got 2 kids. Oh, I can't bother cooking. We get like a home delivery service meals.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So there's power outages, but you can still get home delivery meals as well. Class.
Well, during the hard lockdown, we couldn't even get food delivery. Like, I saw everyone in Oz, I know everyone in Melbourne was like, oh, this is so bad, but they were still ordering off Amazon and like getting Uber Eats. I'm like, we couldn't even do that here. I was desperate for a nail file because I didn't have a nail file. And my local pharmacy during the hard lockdown had like sectioned off all that area because it wasn't necessary. So I couldn't even buy a nail file. I was so upset. First world problems.
Sure.
But our hard lockdown was hard. Oh, and no alcohol. We haven't even mentioned that.
Oh, that's right.
That's the most important part.
Yeah, people were, you were saying people were buying pineapples. There was a shortage of pineapples.
Yes. There was like a recipe going around of how to turn pineapple into alcohol. So then there was a shortage of pineapples.
I'm telling you, that would be really simple too. I think like it just takes a wee bit of time or some yeast, I think.
Yeah. I was never that desperate, but yeah.
I'd say it'd be nice. Pineapples are nice.
We had some alcohol. So we had some in our cupboards. We had some, not that we were drinking, but we had some wine and stuff like that. But then every time they would lift the alcohol ban, the queues, like driving home from work, there's a big bottle store near my work, and you had to avoid that street because there were just queues for days trying to get in, and people were stocking up like as much as they could, because not long after they would shut alcohol again. And so then for weeks there was no alcohol. So we've just gotten used to that yo-yo of alcohol.
People would be bootlegging it then, buying a whole heap. And then
people were. You could buy, but it was expensive. But of course it happens. They also banned cigarettes.
What?
During the hard lockdown. So during the hard lockdown, they banned cigarettes, but there was like rumors. It was because like there was this like politician, I can't remember her name. They had all these cigarettes, so then they were selling them at a premium cost. So you could get cigarettes and you could get alcohol. You just paid a lot for it. Yeah. So I think there are a lot of people making a good amount out of it. And reportedly, the cigarettes, it was the government making the money. Yeah.
Those crafty bastards.
Yeah, but they said it was because like trying to protect people's lungs from COVID.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Likely.
Sure.
Yeah, sure to be sure. Well, here, Becky, I think I'll end that for now. Thank you
Perfect.
very much for joining me for this chat. It's been lots of fun.
Oh, pleasure. It
Um,
was nice.
uh, yeah, interesting. Maybe we'll get another chat again sometime soon.
Yeah, perfect.